time to pick my TBR jar book. So last month's pick was Strangers She Knows. I have not even started this yet because I have been reading my Wrapped book lately, and it is 450 pages. So I will be getting to this absolutely next. It will be the one that I read right after that. So hopefully I'll be done with that soon, and that video will be out soon. So make sure you look out for that. But right now I'm going to go ahead and pick and see what's going to be up next. So of course I have to shake it all up. Okay, I've got one. Let's see what it is. 3 weeks with my brother. Okay, this I already know. This is the Nicholas Sparks book. This one I literally just bought to kind of help complete my Nicholas Sparks books, so I'm not super excited about that. But I did read a little bit about it, so I kind of know what it's about. But let me go grab it and I'll show it to you. So here it is. This is a really beautiful cover, actually. This is written obviously by Nicholas Sparks, and it is about his brother, and it also says it is also written by his brother as well. And it is about their real life journey together, where they clearly spend 3 weeks together. And they travel to see the wonders of the world together, and then they write about it. So this is not a bad pick, actually, and we're coming up here on summer soon. So this is kind of like an inspiring summer read, I feel like. So this will be a good next book to read, something a little more chill than the other books that I've picked out of the TBR jar. So something to look forward to. So I will come back whenever I start reading this and update you. About 100 pages into this, and so far it is actually very good. I thought this was just going to be about Nicholas Sparks and his brother going on a trip, per the title, 3 weeks with my brother, but actually it is about that, which is really cool. But I thought I would be kind of bored of that. So he actually is also writing his memoir in this book, which is just mind-blowing. I had no idea that I was going to get Nicholas Sparks' memoir. And then when he started getting into it, I was like, okay, it's just gonna be like your basic story, yada yada. But no, I had no idea about Nicholas Sparks' life going into this book. So I feel like that was the best way to go with this. So if you wanna have no idea, please skip this and just don't listen to this next couple of minutes here, because I am gonna tell you a little bit about the book. But he gets into his memoir, into his life story. He's having like flashbacks. He starts back from when he was a child, and they actually had a really hard upbringing, and things were just very hard. They were very poor. And I'm not talking about just like regular poor. I'm talking like, there was one line that really stuck out to me, and he said, we as kids got 1 pair of pants and 1 pair of shoes per year. And that was it. That was all we could afford. And that was all we could wear like all year. So much so that our pants had so many patches on them, they didn't even look like pants anymore, is what he wrote. And that was like a very profound moment for me, where I was like, wow, he wasn't just poor. Like they were just like, literally had no money, zero. Like sometimes they wouldn't even eat. And he talked about that, where food was so limited that him and his siblings actually became like binge eaters. So when there was something really good to eat, like they would just eat it in one sitting, even if there was a lot of it. And that continued up until like young adulthood for all of them. And I found that that was just very just unsettling in a way, but also it put things into perspective on what his life really was like. I was not expecting this at all. I expected him to come from like a blue collar middle class family, and to just like, you know, be kind of average and then become a writer and become really rich and famous. But that is totally not the case, which I am not mad at because it made this story extremely interesting. And I find myself like just really wanting to get back to this book anytime I set it down. And it is just so intriguing, and you just fall into this story and you're like, wow. And I just keep saying wow, like all throughout the book. Like I can't even believe what I'm reading in a way. And just so many things are happening that I'm just like, this is wild. I would have never guessed this. And I do not know what to expect for the rest of the book since it's going along this way. So like I said, we have that. And then we also have him, he goes on this 3-week trip with his brother, who is like his best friend. They have been really close since kids. You know, they kind of had their ups and downs as siblings, but like what siblings don't? But now in their adulthood, they are very close, and they end up going on this around the world trip, and it's just incredible the things he's describing so far. And it's actually really eye-opening for just like the world and seeing what's out there in the world without actually being there, but you kind of feel like you are there because of his descriptiveness. Quick fun fact, Nicholas Sparks is and has been one of my favorite authors for a very long time. He was the reason I kind of stuck with reading when I was a older teenager. I probably would have set it down, but I got really into Nicholas Sparks books, and I was just reading them back to back to back, and that was like all I was reading there for a minute. And I had collected a couple of his books, and those were like some of the first books that I actually bought for myself that like my parents didn't buy me as like, you know, children books or whatever. Like these were like actually the first books I went to a bookstore to buy, and I bought them at a used bookstore, and I still have them to this day. And I have been just slowly working on my collection and adding more and more to it. So this is one of those that I added, and I recently added this about a year ago from the library book sale. So I paid about $1 for this book, which is amazing because it's like in perfect condition. But yeah, so far so good. I'm really enjoying this, and if I had to recommend it based on the first 100 pages, I definitely would say go pick this up if you are at all interested in Nicholas Sparks or in traveling, because his travel stories are really cool to hear about as well. So I'm gonna go continue reading. So I have finished 3 weeks with my brother. I am putting it on the screen right now because I was raving about how good it was to my mom, and she really wanted to borrow it. And I knew I needed to film this, but she really wanted it, and I had just seen her, so I just let her borrow it. It was so good. I rated it 4 stars. I am so impressed by not only the writing, but just Nicholas's life. As I said in the last clip, I was not expecting a full-fledged memoir, but that's exactly what I got, and I am so happy to have got that. I would highly recommend this if you're interested at all in Nicholas Sparks, if you've read his books in the past, or just if you really want to read a really good memoir, because even if you didn't know him or like him, I think this could be a great and enjoyable book for really anyone. Nicholas Sparks is just a great writer. Obviously, a lot of his books have been turned into movies, and this book was about a trip with his brother, and then also about his whole entire life story leading up until present day, which I just found to be so good. He has so many hardships in his life that just continue happening, and he is just such a strong-willed and strong-minded person. and just like emotionally very strong, that he not only goes through these hard times, but like learns how to overcome everything and thrive through it somehow. Which is just like so inspiring. The whole book was just very inspiring, and I just wish all the best things for him in his life as he continues on in life, and his brother. And everything that just like happened with his family just like completely blew my mind, and I was not expecting it at all. So I'm gonna keep this kind of short and sweet because I've already talked a lot about this book in the past little passage of me talking. So I don't really want to say too much because I don't want to give away too much. But if you're just looking for like a juicy memoir that is inspiring, relatable, lots of drama, lots of things you wouldn't see happening. Also, there's also his whole 3 weeks with his brother that he spends literally traveling the world, and you see amazingly cool pictures from that time and from his childhood and from his life. And he just talks about his travels literally around the world, that he goes on this crazy trip, like back to back to back days of just doing things everywhere and traveling and getting on planes and getting on boats and seeing like literally the wonders of the world. And he like explains that in such a beautiful way that just like goes hand in hand with his memoir, and he goes like back and forth from each thing, and it is just so cool. It's like 2 books in one almost. So yeah, highly recommend, go check it out, give it Nicholas Sparks some love. And I'm just really thrilled by reading that book, and I'm thrilled that I've been doing this TBR jar challenge because it is really helping me to just like expand my horizons here and just read things that I normally would not pick up in like 10 years or so. Like I feel like it would just sit on my shelf for 10 years and I would look at it and be like, yeah, I will get to that one day, and then just never get to it. And I feel like this is one of those books that I probably would have taken forever to get to if I ever even got to it at all. So even though sometimes I dread reading my TBR book and I put it off and I put it off, I'm like, feel like I'm pretty much always happy to read them. So I would definitely suggest also doing this challenge for yourself if you're feeling like you are not reading what's actually on your shelf, or you have a hard time picking up all the books that you want to pick up. And if you just want to just expand your reading, definitely recommend this. And that's pretty much all I have to say. I post a lot on my Instagram, a lot of bookish content, and I've been really trying hard to continue posting more and more content on there. And I post a weekly video here every single week on Friday, so make sure you check back here for that. And please subscribe, put your notification bell on, and like this video, and leave me a comment because I love interacting with you. And look out for my TBR jar video next month. I know this one's a little bit late, but at least it's out here. So I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.